In the year 2046 on Mars, the Union Aerospace Corporation's UAC Olduvai research facility becomes the site of a terrifying attack when an unseen monster begins to prey on the scientists working there. In a desperate attempt to warn others, Dr. Carmack sends out an urgent message about a Level 5 security breach just before the door behind him is violently torn open. As he turns to face the noise, he catches a glimpse of something horrifying through the small gap, but before he can react, the scene descends into chaos. Meanwhile, on Earth, a highly skilled team of 8 Marines, known as the Rapid Response Tactical Squad, RRTS, is preparing to go on leave after a long deployment. Their plans are abruptly cancelled when their squad leader, Sarge, receives new orders. Communication with the Olduvai facility on Mars has been severed, and the team is tasked with investigating the situation. The Mars station has been placed under strict quarantine, preventing all 85 UAC employees from returning to Earth. As the team suits up, Sarge pulls aside one of his men, John, Reaper, Grimm, and advises him not to join the mission, as Reaper's sister, Dr. Samantha Grimm, is stationed at Olduvai. Despite his leader's concern, Reaper decides to go, driven by a sense of duty and worry for his sister. The squad is then transported to Mars via the Ark, a teleportation device located at Area 51 that was discovered in 2026 and has been the subject of intense study by scientists. Upon arrival at the Olduvai facility, the team is greeted by Pinky, a former human who suffered a tragic accident during an Ark teleportation, leaving his lower torso replaced by a 2-wheeled mechanical device. Their mission is seemingly straightforward: neutralize the threat, secure the facility, and recover any valuable UAC property. However, things quickly take a darker turn as Reaper reunites with his twin sister, Dr. Samantha Grimm, who reveals that the research team has uncovered ancient humanoid remains on Mars containing a 24th chromosome. This chromosome grants superhuman abilities, including immunity to disease and rapid healing, but the discovery is not without consequences. The team soon locates Dr. Carmack, who is now in a state of madness, even tearing off his own ear. The Marines return him to the lab, where Samantha attempts to sedate him, but it's clear something is terribly wrong. As the Marines delve deeper into the facility, they are met with increasingly hostile creatures, their mission escalating into a deadly struggle for survival. An imp creature kills Goat before being taken down and brought to Sam for analysis. Blood samples reveal a horrifying truth: these monsters were once human, their DNA mutated by the introduction of the Martian chromosome. Sam determines that this chromosome doesn't just alter humans randomly, it chooses whether a person becomes superhuman or a monstrous creature, seemingly based on their inherent capacity for evil. The chromosome is spread through the creature's projectile tongues, turning the infected into either formidable superhumans or vicious monsters. The Marines discover that Dr. Carmack had deliberately injected the chromosome into a known criminal, Curtis Stahl, a multiple murderer. Stahl transformed into one of the first creatures and managed to escape, leading to the outbreak. As the imps continue their assault, the squad suffers heavy casualties. Mac, Destroyer, and Portman are all killed, leaving only Sarge, Reaper, the Kid, Duke, and Sam to continue the fight. The situation becomes even more dire when they realize that a Hell Knight, one of the creatures, has escaped through the Ark to Earth because Pinky failed to detonate a grenade left behind to destroy the Ark. Recognizing the severity of the situation, Sarge arms himself with the Bioforce gun, ominously dubbing it the Big Fucking Gun. When the remaining team reaches the UAC facility on Earth, they are greeted by a scene of utter devastation, with bodies strewn across the facility. Sarge, now fully aware of the potential global threat, orders his men to kill anything alive to prevent the infection from spreading further. The Kid discovers a group of non-infected survivors but refuses to kill them, leading Sarge to execute him for insubordination. As the situation spirals out of control, Pinky reappears, aiming a pistol at Sarge, only to be dragged away by a monster moments later. The remaining Marines are quickly overwhelmed by zombies, resulting in Duke's death and Sarge being dragged through a malfunctioning bulletproof screen. Reaper is critically injured by a ricochet, and in a last-ditch effort to save his life, Sam injects him with chromosome 24. Instead of becoming a monster, Reaper awakens with superhuman strength and rapid healing abilities, thanks to his genetic predisposition. Following Reaper's transformation, the film shifts into a first-person shooter perspective, mimicking the style of a video game as Reaper systematically eliminates a horde of monsters, including Pinky, who has now mutated into a grotesque demon, dragging his mechanical lower half behind him. As the camera returns to a standard view, Reaper emerges from the facility's exit, surrounded by the aftermath of the battle, including a still-cooling blue hole in the wall caused by a BFG blast. He finds Sarge and an unconscious Sam lying on the floor. When Reaper questions Sarge about the fate of the non-infected survivors, Sarge coldly admits to killing them. Reaper then notices a familiar injury on Sarge, the same one that Dr. Carmack had before his transformation into an imp. Realizing that Sarge has been hiding his infection, Reaper prepares for a final confrontation. As Sarge begins to transform, developing monstrous features such as sharp teeth, red eyes, and a skeletal structure, Reaper throws him into the Ark and detonates a grenade, obliterating Sarge and the Ark itself. In the aftermath, Reaper tenderly carries Sam, who is conscious but too weak to walk, back to the Earth's surface, leaving behind the horrors of the Mars facility. Doom 2005 is an ambitious attempt to bring the beloved video game series to the big screen, blending elements of sci-fi, action, and horror. Directed by Andrei Bartkalyak, the film takes inspiration from the iconic first-person shooter but struggles to fully capture the game's unique blend of frenetic action and atmospheric dread. While it delivers some thrills and nods to its source material, Doom 2005 ultimately fails to transcend the limitations often associated with video game adaptations. The plot is set in the year 2046, where a distress signal from the Union Aerospace Corporation's UAC Olduvai research facility on Mars prompts the deployment of a Rapid Response Tactical Squad, RRTS. The team, led by the tough-as-nails Sarge, Dwayne, "The Rock" Johnson, is tasked with investigating the sudden loss of communication and securing the facility. What they discover is a nightmarish scenario where scientific experiments have unleashed monstrous creatures that stalk the dark, claustrophobic corridors of the Martian base. The story does a commendable job in recreating the eerie atmosphere of the Doom games. The production design captures the bleak, industrial aesthetic of the UAC facility, with dimly lit hallways, flickering lights, and a pervasive sense of isolation that mirrors the tension of the game. The creature effects are another highlight, bringing to life the grotesque monsters that fans of the franchise will recognize, from imps to the terrifying Hell Knight. These practical effects, combined with CGI, help create a visceral horror experience, though the scares are often more about shock than sustained suspense. The cast is led by Carl Urban as John, Reaper, Grimm, a stoic and brooding Marine with a personal connection to the events on Mars, and Dwayne Johnson as Sarge, whose character undergoes a surprising and dark transformation as the story unfolds. Urban brings a sense of gravitas to his role, effectively portraying a man torn between duty and family, while Johnson's larger-than-life presence is well suited to the role of the squad leader. However, despite the strong performances, the characters themselves are fairly one-dimensional. They largely fit into standard action movie archetypes: the hardened leader, the reluctant hero, the comic relief, and the sacrificial lambs, which makes it hard to invest deeply in their fates. One of the story's most ambitious moments is the first-person shooter, FPS, sequence, which directly mimics the gameplay experience of Doom. This segment, lasting several minutes, puts the audience in the perspective of Reaper as he battles through waves of monsters. While this scene is a bold and innovative tribute to the game's legacy, it also feels somewhat out of place within the larger context of the film. For some, it's a thrilling and nostalgic moment; for others, it's a jarring shift in style that disrupts the narrative flow. The pacing of Doom is uneven, with moments of intense action interspersed with slower, expository scenes that don't always hold the viewer's interest. The middle act, in particular, drags as the characters engage in predictable exploration and combat sequences that lack the tension and urgency needed to maintain suspense. The film's script, while functional, is filled with cliches and misses opportunities to delve deeper into the more intriguing aspects of the story, such as the ethical implications of the scientific experiments being conducted on Mars or the psychological effects of the situation on the characters. The story's climax, which sees the transformation of Sarge into a monstrous antagonist, is a fittingly intense conclusion but also one that highlights the film's reliance on familiar genre tropes. The final battle between Reaper and the mutated Sarge offers a satisfying resolution to their conflict, but it doesn't elevate the film beyond the level of a standard action horror flick. In terms of its faithfulness to the source material, Doom includes several Easter eggs and references that will please fans of the game, such as the introduction of the Bioforce gun, BFG, affectionately dubbed the Big Fucking Gun, and the use of teleportation technology central to the game's plot. However, the film takes liberties with the storyline, introducing a new narrative about ancient Martian chromosomes that can transform humans into superhumans or monsters, depending on their moral character. This addition, while interesting, feels somewhat underdeveloped and doesn't fully integrate with the film's overall plot. Ultimately, Doom 2005 is a mixed experience. It succeeds in creating a visually compelling and occasionally thrilling representation of the video game's world but falters in delivering a cohesive and engaging narrative. The film's strengths lie in its atmospheric set design, creature effects, and the performances of its lead actors. However, its weaknesses, including a lackluster script, underdeveloped characters, and uneven pacing, prevent it from being a standout in the genre. For fans of the Doom video game series, the film offers enough nods and action-packed sequences to make it a worthwhile watch, even if it doesn't fully capture the essence of what made the game so iconic. For general audiences, Doom 2005 is an entertaining, if forgettable, sci-fi horror flick that delivers on action and spectacle but leaves much to be desired in terms of depth and innovation. It's a film that, while not without its merits, ultimately serves as another example of how difficult it is to successfully adapt video games into compelling cinema.